Hello, guys. I have a few stories for today. Not too many, so let's just get into it and get to the last main story, which I found very, uh, I hate to say the word, but entertaining for you guys. So the first one, it says here, my apologies. It says almost 200 arms were found and $200,000 in cash, munitions. Inside of a residence in Saint-Anis. So what? I don't know. Just all I know is the title, and I'm seeing all the stuff there. You see that you saw them too. Sorry, I should have blocked it. It's not that I want to block it. I don't really have a choice, man. Or else all my work goes for nothing. But you saw it was there, and yeah. So 200 of them. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now I'm interested in finding out by reading this because a bust is a bust. But what's more interesting is if we can learn something and something that can be used. So the questions that I have is, look, we've never had a bust, me and you together, that I remember. That was 200 rounds. Yeah, 200 arms, man. You saw those boxes. And $200,000 in cash with that and all that. So what I'm interested in finding out is if we're going to learn something. And the question I'm asking myself is, remember there's a war going on between gangs in Montreal, in the red zone, Quebec City. You have British Columbia. Like there's a explosion of fire tool related violence all across Canada. I think you've noticed this in the last 5 years. It's been in total explosion, madness. We're reading stories, but all these wars happening, it's with the tools. So where are these tools coming from? Who's the one feeding them? What does it look like, for us commoners? So I want to know who's this person. With For once we got a big bust. So who is this person? And I'm assuming 200 inside of a residence in Saint-Anis. 200. I was going to say, I'm assuming this is a border town. I have no clue where Saint-Anis is, but let's see. Okay, here you go. First sentence here. The Border Control of Canada arrested a man of 65 years plus for more than 180 arms, important quantity of money, in a residence in Saint-Anis, Montérégie West. So I don't know. Is this? They say Border Patrol arrested him. Maybe they bust, but he said they found it in his home, right? So is that a home that's is that a town near a border? I'm wondering. Because why would they be involved? Why should if the guy lives in Quebec City? Why would Border Control be arresting him? You know what I mean? So I'm assuming that Saint-Anis. It seems like it should be a town near the border. Well, unless they had stopped the load at the border, So why does it say it is a place? So it's happened on the 6th of August, and I want to see if they have a name. Okay, here you go. So it says this location was targeted by them after the interception of a package destinated. Okay, I see. So I think they have. I think when it goes to the border, there's like a processing center or whatever, and they said that there was a package that was destined for that. This processing center. They're saying it's for international packages, and it's called Léo Blanchette. Forgive my ignorance. I don't understand much. I'm just giving you some information here. Probably one of you will know. That's I don't know. This is the name of the border facility. I don't know, or just a company, private business that does this, or you guys will be able to figure it out. Now, the researchers have permitted to identify the importer as being a resident of Saint-Anis, who was busted previously for something coming in through the border, I guess, for a prohibited device, or they say this calling it the silencer. So he got busted once before in August 2024 for trying to import a silencer. There you go. It does flow. Now this time it's for 200. So I don't know what happened. It seems like he tried to bring something again. They found out, and then they opened it and they found all this. So far, it's a little bit confusing, but you have to forgive me. I'm not going to read it word by word with you and take a silence. Take a silence and for like 30, 40 seconds to to understand it and then talk to you. You're going to be bored to death. I have to have my mouth moving while you're listening, trying to keep you engaged so we can move on, and not make it too boring. So, okay, the man is 65 years old. See, someone who looks serious, 65-year-old man who you'd probably not suspect, grandpa right there, and you didn't even know this guy was bringing in the arms. These arms were going to go to the hands of the gangsters, and this would be feeding the need for them, the demand, I should have said, the demand for arms to fight the battles. So this is what it looks like. It would be a 65 or 60-year-old man. It won't be an 18-year-old importing all this stuff. It'll be a 65-year-old man who's familiar with the paperwork, who doesn't look suspicious, things like that. And here you go, man. Interesting. Next one, Project Camelot. Project Camelot is the bust where they took. It's related to Rénal Desjardins. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was related to Rénal Desjardins. And that would be the last one implicating him, the most latest. I'm not sure if they actually pinned it on him. But I do recall that his daughter was named. Something about an airplane flying here. And I think they had named his daughter. And his daughter has a husband who had an Arabic name or something. And he was also named in the charges. Now, I don't remember if they both got arrested or they're on the run or anything like that. I don't remember that detail. But I know it had something to do with them. And what do you think? They're doing this all by themselves, Has nothing to do with the Godfather himself, who's been doing that himself decades ago, got busted for it. What do you think? So let's look at that Project Camelot. 2 suspects accused in 2023 for trafficking cane, arrested in Chile and Ontario. So you did have the pictures right there. You know what that is. I'll give you a quick glance like that. The money counting, the fire tools. You got the packages of cane and the rounds right there. Yeah, I think the bottom and right is the rounds. Okay. So who are these 2 suspects arrested in 2023? We got, so they were on the run, right? Jesus, I have to block everything. In June of 2023, 5 individuals were implicated in a plot for the transport of cane by hydroplane. I don't know how you translate this in English, but it's a plane. So they were transporting cane in a plane since Toronto and Montreal towards Saint-Jean-de-Terre-Neuve. So this was flying actually within Canada. So my bad. I thought it was from the South American countries. Makes sense. This makes sense. So they're going eastern, I guess. Yeah, Terre-Neuve. There you go. Terre-Neuve is in English Nova Scotia, I guess, right? So the authorities had then seized 10 kilos of cane and $10,000 in cash and 3 fire tools. So they try to do it by plane, sneaking it by plane. I gotta ask you, what's less risky? To do all of this through a plane or just to drive? What do you think? What's your opinion? What's less riskier? Let's keep going. Benoit David, 55 years old, has been captured by Interpol. So that's the one from Chile on the 8th of August. Okay, and who's the other one? It's William Thomas Weber, 44. Now you see the ages. Stopped in Mississauga, Ontario on the 19th of August. He was arrested in his home. He was initially he was arrested when the operation initially when it happened, all the first bust I told you about, the main one. So he was arrested once in June 2023. And then un mandat d'arrêt avait été mis. Oh, okay. Then he had to appear in court, and he absconded. He fled, right? So that's why they busted him again. Oh, okay, gotcha. So that's what it looked like. They landed here, I guess, with the plane. You see the 5-0s there, prepared for them. Damn, that sucks. And here you have it. There you go. That's the son. If you is that how you say it? Son-in-law of Reynald Desjardins, one of the heads of the, if you want to call it, the Calabrian section that was how you say, rebelled against the Sicilian faction and Rizzuto, and they tried to take over one of the factions that went against the Rizzutos. So that Reynald Desjardins, and so he says 2 other suspects: Judith, that's his daughter; Zayas Bazan, now last name because she probably took the name of her husband, right? And Adham Haouli, 43, are still on the run. I'm even doubting myself. Is this his daughter, or am I confusing it with someone else? But that's the photo I do remember seeing last time. Guess it's his. I believe it's his daughter. I believe that's her. The fifth. So what's going on? 2 other suspects are still on the run. So yeah, these 2 are on the lam. These 2 are still on the lam. A 5th accused, Michael Duguay-Hallé, 39. From Terrebonne, is that? I got it confused. Yeah, Terre-Neuve, yeah, Terrebonne. I don't. It's not the same. No, Terrebonne is in Quebec. It's in Quebec. My bad. Okay, no, we're good. You were still in Quebec. So another dude had to appear in court on the 5th of September. No, but he will appear. He's not on the run, by the way. So what we learned? Okay, there's a bunch of them on the plot, and today they captured 2 of them. One of them in Chile, the other in Ontario. That's about it. But it's a good reminder of this. The question people ask themselves is, well, what's going on with Mr. Desjardins? He's really old now. It's like, so what's going on? It's been quiet. We don't hear from him. You don't hear from him. Perhaps you don't hear from him because he's just moving he's just pointing fingers, and other people are moving moving stuff. Maybe that's why you don't hear from him. So despite all of this, he's gonna be. You see, notice they don't even mention his name. If he's if he's involved at all, he doesn't have to worry about it, bro. But you have to sacrifice your daughter, maybe, huh? Next one. Well, we saw this. Remember when they tried to burn the parlor? We don't need to see that again. This is like the Arab power underlings. They send the guys to do it. And recently we saw a video, one of these youngsters, because when he threw the Molotov, he burned himself by accident. And recently, last video, we saw a youngster going on like television networks and telling them like sort of what happened. He says, I got paid to do it. We're not going to read this whole article, but this article is about the juvenile delinquents and how it's getting bad. They're getting jobs in the underworld now. They're getting paid. What we can learn from this, I did glance at this one. They're getting these contracts through social media. I'm not kidding. They're recruiting kids from I don't like to say kids. I should say teens from these, what do you call it? From these social network stuff. And so he says a brief search on Snapchat and Instagram allowed us to uncover tens of offers for contracts for illegal activities. The majority of them are for bank fraud, stealing identities, and selling stolen goods. Certain propositions come from street gangs who are well known by authorities. And their offers are worded vaguely, it says. Here's a quote. Do you have a driving license and you want to make money? Guaranteed transfer. Here, we actually have the screenshot. I forgot. Legit, in French, says, text me if you have your permit. There's money to be made. Now, I do not understand the abbreviation here. Probably some of you do know. You're familiar with the internet lingo. TD55, I have no clue. 3,000, this I can get. Okay, so this is banks. TD is probably for bank, but what's 55 for? And then you have Scotia 3-1. What does 3-1 stand for? Scotia's probably gonna be the bank, right? The bank, and TD is the Bank of TD. So if you do TD, you'll get 3,000. If you do Scotia, you get 2.5. I don't get it. Now he says, need serious people only. Who can take this? There you go. Now, okay. So, soldiers for organized crime. The future of the youth, of one youth, without any history, can change in one night. With a simple click, he can transform himself to a small soldier for organized crime, relates Annie Barré, and she's a social worker or something like that. She works with the community. And she says, we have helped fathers and mothers who went to pick up their kids in Ontario. And when you're a parent, you're shocked to find this stuff out. All right, we're gonna just skip this stuff. We get the drift. Okay, here you go. These Snapchat contracts are presented through subcontracting for criminal groups. But if the delinquent person, the kid, executes the contract, he is not necessarily a member of the gang, right? We know that. And they often do not even know for who they are working. They will simply receive a transfer without really knowing who's paying for it. And this is a quote. She's still talking. In my opinion, yeah, whatever. That's a waste of time. Now, the dangers of subcontracting. This new method does not work for everybody, and even bothers some bandits. That puts, in the quote here is, that puts heat on everybody, confides a source implicated in the current conflicts between different groups. Some bikers have already given contracts to new emerging groups who do not execute them correctly, says this source. These young ones, amateurs, often get arrested and become collateral victims, and cause collateral victims, which then attracts media attention and police. In September of 2024, an adolescent, 14 years of age, died when trying to light up. That's the bunker of the bikers in Quebec. Remember, one of the Arab Power. It's believed Arab Power sent. I guess that's how they recruited him, through internet. I guess we may be getting part of the answer here. But remember that kid who tried to burn down the bunkers? Remember that last year? It was big news in Frampton. And that kid died. You remember that? Well, here they're telling us there's just so many versions of it. First, they said he was found riddled with bullets. Now they're saying he was burned. He died while trying to burn the bunker. He was executing a contract for a street gang from Montreal that were at war against the bikers for the control of the sale of stupefires. That was the bunker of the Dark Souls. I think it switched hands once or twice. I guess the latest one would be Dark Souls. It's just there was every 3-4 article it changes. Once it's Dark Souls, then it wasn't. You remember? And then it switched back to Dark Souls. And then someone here told us that at a certain point, for real, this bunker belonged to one of the two, and then they sold it to the other. At this point, I don't even know which bunker it is, what I could say. But let's just say it's Dark Souls. Maybe it is. We remember that one. Yeah, okay. They're just repeating themselves here. Yeah, it's just going to be generalities. I don't want to translate word for word, waste our time. They tell themselves, what's so bad about 4 years for a crime when I could have a luxury life, parties, the fast life after that? Well, yeah, the problem is the wages in Canada do not increase. They keep pumping more people into the country to keep the wages suppressed. Isn't it funny? The businesses out there, if I could say, what's the wage of a corporation? It's the price of their product. Haven't you noticed that they can freely increase the price of their product? But then when it's time to pay wages, they don't want to increase those. They fire people, they get rid of them, but they sure as hell don't want to increase the wages. And you know what? They're encouraged not to increase the wages. Everything is shaped, and you see the way they run Canada. The politicians, they almost favor them like this. They keep pumping more and more people, and people here are struggling to even find jobs. They're getting laid off. They're creating AI. They're going to take jobs, and everyone's got to go work at the factory. And then you're bringing in more people, and now to work at the factory, you need to have 10 years experience, or your ears are too big now, or you didn't shake his hands hard enough, because they're not desperate. They don't need you. They have too many. It's the opposite of them being desperate. They're getting cheeky, and it's been like this for a while. It's been degrading, and they'll keep bringing in more and more and more and more and more and more people. And then the price of real estate keeps increasing. Apartments, what was it in the last 5 years? 30% rent increase. You got to be kidding me. And you're going to still bring people? And our hospitals, did you see the lineups at the hospitals? It was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it was already bad. People going, if you go, you're afraid of getting fired from your job if you go to the hospital, because you're not going to come back. You're not going to show up that day at work, and maybe not even the next day. You're going to wait 12 hours, and it's a complete failure when you go to a hospital in Quebec. It's a failure, man. So why are they bringing in more people inside the country when the ones who are already here are suffering and struggling, you know? But anyways, yeah, and you wonder why these guys think doing 4 years is not such a bad deal if you're going to pay them a lot of money, you know? Think about that. Let's keep going. So, yeah, I think we're going to skip these. Yeah, these are just definitions. So how much money can these young ones win with their contracts? Difficult to say. A contract for a criminal fire on a building could bring anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000. The mission to go shoot up a building, shoot up this time, a little bit more. And the tools, the fire tools, are furnished. But be careful. This, I'm not sure what they're saying here. Okay, saying that the entire thing does not get paid to him. There's an intermediary who's going to take his cut, the guy who found you, basically. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, we saw the video of the kid talking about the burning. Okay, main story. This one's why you're here. This one's more interesting. There's not much to it, but it's still, you're going to enjoy it. A man gets beat up by the bikers in a bar in Sept-iles. Now, Sept-iles, you know, I coined it the capital of the North Coast, because it's just a word we use here, because it's the most important place. I would say it's the more important town along the North Coast. And there will be a dispute to control the stupefire traffic over there. Odds are it will be the Alboivin section of the rebellion, who used to run the pipeline for the Hells Angels, and then they decided to break away, and they found their own pipeline. Now, this other pipeline, was it from the Ontarians? More than probably. Or some Italian-related? Maybe. But I'm leaning heavily on Ontario, but because they need to get their cane from someplace. And it's not the bikers anymore. So, Sept-iles, we have the other half that's still on the run. What's his name? The first leader, he got busted. He's in Italy. They still didn't bring him back. Albovin's still on the run. And lately we thought that things calmed down, remember? And then in the last few weeks, we found out there's been action. And we reported on the last video on a few action that proved this. In that area, in the North Coast area. So here you go. Proof this continues, and it doesn't get better than this. A man gets beat up inside of a bar in Sept-iles. Now, I cheated. I did cheat on this one. So and I can tell you the reason this guy got beat up in this video, they're saying, maybe it's still a rumor, maybe it's not 100% confirmed, but they are saying that it's linked to this whole thing, this whole street gang wars, whatever. They think they finally got one of them there, and they may have bumped into him by accident, but they found him there, Let's watch. All right, I'm just gonna. Can I lower the volume? Because it's gonna blow off your ears. I don't want to hurt your ears, man. Give me a sec. Here you go. The other one gets him too. So what do we see here? This guy is a red devil. You see that? The one in the back here, it doesn't look like a full. You can't see the whole patch, right? I don't see a logo on it. It's fully black, but it does say Quebec on the bottom here. That we can confirm. Now you saw the black dude. The black dude, his patch is black and white, right? I'm trying to see if we can even catch a glimpse if there's a logo on his. I cannot really see, but I believe, number one, because it's black and white, there's a chance it looks a lot like the Marauders patch. And we know already that the Marauders have a black member. It was Jean-Philippe Célestin, so it would be realistic if they recruited another black guy and he's wearing a Marauders patch, it would check out. And we know Marauders are not just staying in Montreal, they're actually going with bikers in other locations. As you see, probably to do security with them. But that's a black dude right there. Maybe it's a Marauder patch. It does look like it, but you can't see clear. What else can we see? Now, someone's got to explain to me how this stuff works. There is no logo. Is it because he's on a probation to become a Hell's Angel or a Red Devil and he's not yet a Red Devil? Is that why he doesn't have the you know what I'm saying? The logo, any logo in the back there for whichever band he's grouping up with. Are these all underlings? Now, I'm leaning on probably, but I did read there was a Hell's Angels in there. Yeah, it's just a video on replay, by the way. Yeah, it's just a video on replay. So let's see what they tell us. A man got beat up by bikers tied to the Hells Angels in a bar in Sept-iles on Friday, at a moment when numerous or several violent events tied to organized crime are happening in the region. The victim got important injuries, but his life is not in danger. Okay. This scene happened Friday at a bar called Le Gibson, but up until this summer, the name was Le Bar Le Diamant, the bar The Diamond. That was the name. Until the summer, it was always called the bar The Diamond. Now it's called The Gibson. It changed. The owners of this Gibson are always the same owners as before. They did not answer the call for an interview for this. In the video obtained by Le Journal, this newspaper, a man with no shirt had a bloody face and he got punched out. He was targeted by at least two men wearing vests patched with Quebec in the back, without any other indications visible. According to our information, this could be tied to aspiring Hells Angels. Approximately 5 other men wearing similar vests are all around the two men. One of them even would be a full patch member of the Hells Angels, according to our information. Now, I don't think we saw him, or we could not distinguish which one was the Hells Angels because we were looking for the patch, and we couldn't really tell. Remember? What we saw, there was no logo. As for, with the angel sign, I mean, the wings or whatever you want to call it, we didn't see any of that. Let's see what another man wearing his Red Devils, we saw that one, is also in the portrait. Yeah, that's it. Now it says members of a sub club of the Hells Angels were outside preventing anyone else from entering the bar while this was happening. So it's almost like they ambushed the guy. Because if it was purely an accident, you just bumped into the guy said a bad word, and it happened on the spur of the moment. How could they have time to block the exits and things like that, or do security in the front? Because here, the way it's reading to me is they're really saying there was bikers outside, gatekeeping the place. No, you don't go inside. So it looks like almost like it was planned out, like they went in for this reason. I don't know. Oh, look, you see? This is the part. A story tied to stupefyers would be the central web in this event that happened. The individual beaten up could have also been the victim of a mistaken identity. Questioned about this, the spokesperson of the SQ, the police, did not confirm this information. Okay. This episode of violence adds itself to a series of other events, and in fact, we just covered one on the last episode. There was two of them last episode in the North Coast, which is becoming a theater or scene of the war raging in the territory, tied to stupefier trafficking in the last few years. And the SQ is comparing this modern day era to the era of the 90s biker war. Crazy. Let's see what the video gives us. If maybe we catch a little extra here.
On voit un homme se faire passer à tabac.
Oui, tout à fait. Vous allez le voir sur les images, mais c'est un autre épisode de violence, Jean-François, qui s'ajoute à cette longue liste sur la Côte-Nord. Cette fois-ci, ça se passe du côté de Sept-iles. Vous allez le voir vendredi dernier. Donc, il y a un homme qui se fait rouer de coups par des moteurs qui seraient liés là, aux Hells Angels, selon les informations de nos collègues du Juvenile. Ça se passe dans le bar Le Gibson à Sept-iles, comme je l'ai mentionné. Et la victime aurait subi d'importantes blessures, là, sans mettre sa vie en danger. Donc, on voit cet homme torse nu, là, sans chandail, qui se fait frapper. Il y a plusieurs individus autour de lui qui portent une veste là, où on peut y lire Québec dessus sans autre identification.
Yeah, she's just repeating everything in the article.
Le groupe criminel en particulier, difficile à dire pour l'instant, Jean-François, mais comme je le dis, ce seraient des aspirants là, Hells Angels.
So they're saying these are all aspiring Hells Angels.
C'est une histoire de stupéfiants qui serait la toile de fond de cette histoire, de cette affaire-là.
It would be tied to the stupefiers.
Et en plus, Jean-François, la victime aurait pu être donc victime justement là, d'une erreur sur la personne.
So it was a mistaken identity.
La Sûreté du Québec nous dit qu'il n'y a aucune arrestation qui n'a été
There is no arrests that have been made
effectuée pour le moment.
For the moment. I don't know. What else do you need? You have the camera footage.
Mais oui, donc c'est un autre épisode de violence qui s'ajoute parce que vous savez,
on parle
quand même régulièrement de cette guerre-là que se livre.
So these kinds of things happen very regularly. Well, I would say this is a first for us. This is not very regularly. We've never ever had a footage on the spot something like this.
Jean-François, mais comme je dis, ce serait des aspirants là.
Yeah.
Que vous savez, on vous en parle quand même régulièrement de cette guerre-là que se livrent différents groupes criminels depuis les dernières années sur la Côte-Nord.
C'est pas un cas isolé, malheureusement. Merci.
It's not an isolated case, is what they're saying. Okay. That's it, man. That's it. Interesting, huh? Well, today you see the footage. Now, today you see the footage. This footage will come back to... I'm playing here, but this footage will come back to haunt us. You know what I mean is it'll come back again and again, and it'll be important to because we're gonna probably be hearing about this person who punched out the other person. Who is he? What's his name? What were they doing there? Did they actually go for an ambush? Since it's related to stupefier trafficking, but I doubt it. I don't think they all came in full patch to ambush some guy. This is asking for trouble from 5-0. I think they somehow did bump into him, and they say, hey, I recognize that guy. And then they went for him, but they had the wrong person too, right? Or is this one of their bars that they control and they were there and they saw the enemy clan hanging out there? The other thing we're going to be able to find out is who are all these people? Who is he? Who is he? What's this marauder? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's a marauder. What is a marauder doing there? What are these guys all doing there together? What party were they having? And who are these new characters? Because we're running out of characters to in the stories. You know, Mambouche is gone. The how do you call it? The old school names of the Biker Wars. They gave us storylines. Well, we weren't here. This channel did not exist. But I'm telling you, the old names. They they fed us, or they fed me, if you will, my curiosity for 20 years. Those names will kept reappearing, but they're in their 70s. It's over now. But now we're gonna be hearing, if I'm still alive and we're still covering, we're gonna be getting some. This is nothing right now, but in the future we're gonna be getting some of these names here named, and then it will be branching storylines from there in the future. Maybe in the next years, where you're gonna see we're gonna have blockbuster stories. And I've been doing this for a long time before this channel, and then when the channel opened up and we talk about stuff, this is just how it works. In the future, you're gonna see these names are gonna start appearing on articles, but we probably won't even remember that they're from this video unless the articles mention it. But I'm sure they will, because we do have the footage. They like to sensationalize things, and this is sensational. But in the future, we're gonna get some storylines from this that'll feed our curiosity, what's happening in Canada, and how the things are evolving. They are evolving. They are evolving, man. Like you would have not really seen as many black guys wearing patches in Quebec. The only one you saw was Gregory Woolley in the 90s. That was like a pure exception. Now you're going to be seeing a lot more, and behind it is this entire story, because there was a rebellion. They lost their image. The street gangs, they were smarter. They diversified. They had their hands in the communities because they are from there. So you had black, white, all hanging out together, and then they look at the Hells Angels as bullies. And how could I say, they saw some racism there too, and they joined in happily with another white guy together, and then they rebelled against them, became good friends, and they had like companies, they have their competitive advantages. One company has a moat; it protects him from the competitor coming and stealing. It gives them an advantage. Like the Hells Angels lacked this competitive advantage, which the street gangs had. They milked it. And it was a weakness. It was a weakness for the Hells Angels. That reputation was a weakness. It was hurting them, and you could see it. Maybe it's not as clear, obvious like that. But if you really think about it, it was hurting them. And now they're rebranding. Now they're completely rebranding. They're rebranding the whole thing, and now they're going ham on recruiting every other communities and this way. Because look, if you want your hands inside of the areas the street gangs stay, like in, let's say, Montréal Nord. If you want to control that area, if you want to get someone in there killed, where he lives, if you have an enemy there, you want to know where he lives, you want to be able to get closer to him. Maybe you just want to even peddle your stuff and expand your influence. Let's say it like that, more expand your influence. Ain't nothing better than you got some guy who grew up there, and now he's wearing a vest with you, and he has cousins. He got cousins and nephews who still live there, and they all look up to him as a god now. And he joined the Hells Angels, he joined the Umbrella, etc. That comes with a lot of power, a lot of influence. This changes everything, and I think that now they changed their strategy in the last 2 years or so. But I do think it's a reaction to the rebellion all across Quebec, and now you're going to be seeing how this will evolve in the future. Very interesting, man. Very interesting. We just opened the door, by the way. We're not even in the meat of what's going to come out of this. We don't have any details. This is just all preliminary observations. It's going to take time, and it's going to take more sagas to develop, more sagas. And once those sagas develop, which I mean is intricate storylines involving these different people, elements, they're going to get busted. They're going to kill one guy because this happened. It'll come out in the news, whatever it is. What was this plot? How did they grow up? And eventually we're going to I would say this facet will be explored in more detail. Well, we'll get bits of it, and it will be able to form a bigger picture. What's really going on in Quebec? Because right now, looking at this, we don't know. We're just from the outside, barely getting little nuggets. But it'll come the same way. Right now, when you look back at the story of Maurice Mambouché, you have the whole picture now. You see, they're making documentaries about it. They're hand feeding you. You know what I mean? They're spoon feeding you the story of Mambouché with all its details, all the glory, what happened, what it looked like. They're giving you everything. But right now, we're not able to give you that in that manner. That's going to take a long time with those with storylines to come out, with time to get this accurate picture. It's going to take so long. But one day you'll be opening your TV in what is it, Radio Quebec or whatever, TVA, and you're going to see some documentaries made about this in details. But we need some names to come out, just like Gregory Woolley. His name came up. There was crazy storylines with him throughout the years. We're going to have more Gregory Woolleys or Mambouchés created in the next decade or so. It's gonna take some time. I don't know how long, but when it will happen, you'll see. You'll have what's his name, Félix Séguin, making those reports, documentaries. The guy fed us crazy stuff. You remember when he went to one of the mob bosses? Was it Andrea Scopa or one of the Scopa brothers? You remember he interviewed him? He even went on a trip. Was it to Portugal? Or something like that in Europe. He went on a trip with him, man. He went to the beach with him. He asked him questions. They talked. And you remember we had this crazy documentary that was it was very eye-opening. If you haven't watched it, it's on my channel. It's called Scopa Files, I think. Scopa Files. Check that out in one of the playlists. You're going to find it, man. It's 5 parts. You're gonna enjoy that. But one day, among all of these stories, we're going to get 1 or 2 of those pop up, made and in detail, and it's going to be enjoyable. I'm just waiting for Félix Séguin because the first step of all that, we're still in the preliminary, it's still vague, but the first person who's going to be able to bring all of, at least some of it back together, even if it's still going to be preliminary, but the only person who's going to be able to really do that is Félix Séguin. He's going to be able to put this all together for us and open our eyes. It'll happen sooner or later. If anyone sees that he releases something, just let me know so we can watch it with everyone else. I'm not plugged in totally and all this stuff. So if you do find it, let me know so we can share it with the others. We can watch it together and and learn what the hell is going on. And yeah, I'll end the video here. Thank you for joining. I apologize if I didn't read your messages, guys. I'm trying to translate. Mouth's talking. I'm trying to not, take any pauses. It's much more difficult than you think. And sometimes mistakes do happen when I translate. That's to be expected, But it's either that or I stop for 30, 40 seconds, a minute in silence, and you're just there like, what's going on? And I'm trying to understand, So it's a give or take. But I also forget to read the messages. So I apologize for that. Shout out to Chris Hensley. He says good afternoon, right back at you. Adam Rogers, Adam's family Rogers. What's up, my man? We got 1000 chemins. That means 1,000 ways or 1,000 roads. 1000 chemins. What's up, buddy? And Orville Henri, comment ça va? Orville, what's up to Orville? We got Aggressive Bat 34. What's up, Aggressive Bat? It kind of reminds me of the baseball team, And then you got Mr. Green Thumb from Ottawa. What's up, friend? How are you? I got Biker News Canada. This guy should be able to. He's probably listening to us talk, us noobs. He's listening to us, and he's probably laughing, and he knows a little bit, not a lot more. What's probably happening here because he lives in Ontario, so. But he'd be able to read between the lines a lot better, And if you ever want to check out his channel, he was actually a biker. I don't know, I think he's retired now. And he was not a biker in the late 2010s, guys. He was, I think in the late 80s or early 90s. That was a long time ago. There's a lot of knowledge and wealth of information. things like that. You should, if you don't like to be spoon-fed with videos with flashy music and all that, because not everyone has time to do all that stuff. It barely has any rewards. But if you want the information, sometimes you gotta look through you gotta, how you say, you gotta, what's the word, filter through to find the diamonds. You gotta be more patient. Check out his channel. But it's a podcast format. He talks, he hangs out, and you'll enjoy it. You'll find out what it's like to be, what was it like to be an outlaw in Ontario. Where can you get that? It's better you listen directly from the horse's mouth than you listen to someone like me. I'm just trying to guess what's going on. You know what I mean? With no personal experience whatsoever. But then you can actually learn from someone who has personal experience, who met these kinds of people, who was part of it. That's who you should be supporting. You know what I mean? You should be supporting these guys. Not some guy who's in Australia trying to milk the subject in a country he doesn't live in. Let's keep going. So we got, we were at Zachary Mitchell. What's up, buddy? Good Tuesday. Right back at you. And Anthony Serrano. What's up, Anthony? Anthony's a cool dude. Appreciate you, Anthony. And Dave Dupont. Dave, what's up, bro? Dave and Alexi. Ça va, Alexi? When I see those dolls, man, I find them, what's the word? Creepy? They're pretty creepy, those dolls. And Brent Fleury. What's up, Brent? How are you? Brent Fleury. And I don't know if I missed anyone else. I hope not. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for joining in, guys. Have a great evening. And yeah, man, we will get more to come. This is just the beginning. It's going to take a bit. Stay with us. And if you like to receive updates, subscribe, join, press like in the videos to help me out. That's all I ask. Have a good day. Thank you.